Alright guys, welcome back. Mullen's Raw Fitness here. Paul Chek's 6 Foundation Principles. We made it, guys. Video number 6, the one everyone wants to talk about. We all love this topic. Nutrition. We made our way through the yin and yang, the anabolic and catabolic, our thinking, breathing, moving, sleep, hydration, last yin and anabolic aspect of it, talking nutrition. Okay? You see, I got a lot of stuff up here, guys. This is a huge topic. I could go on this for many, many videos, and I will, but this is kind of a basis that we should look at. Okay? You are what you eat, literally. Okay? And I really mean literally. Okay? The reason I say that is because studies show every 7 years, your body produces completely new cells. You are a completely different person every 7 years. So where do you think you get, how do you think your cells do that? It takes the nutrients to build those cells. We get the nutrients from the food we eat. So if we're reproducing our cells every 7 years, what's making up those cells? What's making up the cells that make up my hair? What's making up the cells that make up my fingernails, right? So what is it that's making up those cells? Is it this organic apple, or is it the Twinkie I just ate last night? I didn't eat a Twinkie, but I just wanted to use that. Okay? So what's making it up? So then we wonder, why am I falling apart? Why do I feel like crap? Why is my hair falling out? Why is this? Well, what are the nutrients you're giving your body to make all the cells of your body? It needs to be quality. This is the number one aspect when it comes to living a healthy lifestyle and being the person you want to be. Everything comes down to what you are eating. Everything. Okay? You have negative thought processes, fix your eating, and I bet you'll think better. I bet you. Okay? What do you think? What are your moods come from? We talked about it last video. From your emotions. Your emotions come from your hormonal system, your nervous system. What's the quality of those systems? Well, it depends on the nutrients we're getting to it. Right? So, eat good, you'll feel good. Look good. Okay? Now, remember, everyone says, well, what do I need to do when it comes to eating? I need to eat less and work out more. No, you don't. Okay? That is a big misconception. Okay? Some people, maybe they do, but for the most part, no, that is not the case. Most of us are overweight and unhealthy because our hormones are jacked up. Okay? Our body's going nuts on the inside. You know, so I may look at, did I have a lot of carbohydrates in my, especially high glycemic carbohydrates? What did that do? That spiked my insulin way up, and now all of a sudden I'm becoming insulin resistant. Okay? That can cause you to be overweight and unhealthy. Okay? Or did I just eat a bunch of food filled with pesticides, herbicides, that's causing a huge stress on my liver, that's causing a bunch of cortisol to be released? Okay, is it because I'm eating too many of that, or is it because of the stress response and the cortisol I'm producing that's causing me to be overweight? Okay, it's something we need to think about. Now, we're producing all that cortisol. Okay, well, how do you make cortisol in the body? Cholesterol. You need cholesterol. So now I'm on a low-fat diet, okay, and I'm not getting enough, cholesterol through my body, good cholesterol. Well, what happens? Well, now your body is so focused on using every cholesterol it has. If it doesn't, it's going to make more. Hence why your blood may say you have high cholesterol, maybe because it's making more on its own. But, then if you don't have enough cholesterol to make cortisol, well, what happens? That's the number one instinct for your body, because if your body, because if it's not doing that, then you're not going to start producing stress hormone or your sex hormones. Okay, your estrogen levels, your testosterone levels. It's not going to produce your growth hormones. It's not going to produce all the other things involved with the immune system response. Everything, if you're not getting enough cholesterol. So then again, okay, I'm eating a low cholesterol diet, a low fat diet. Now my body doesn't have enough cholesterol. Now I can't produce my sex hormones. Well, now my metabolic functions can't properly, because now my thyroid can't produce how it should. Is it making sense, right? So again, it's not necessarily because I'm overeating, but it's because what we're eating, okay, is what's causing the big picture. Now, everyone asks, what do I need to eat? I don't know what I should eat. I've tried this diet, I've tried that diet, it didn't work. Or you may find this diet works for some, but it doesn't work for others. This diet works for those, but not for these, okay? And we all need to look at it, because William Wolcott, in his book Metabolic Typing, said, we are not all the same on the insides. We are completely different on the insides, every single one of us. Okay, my insides are just as different. My insides, all of our insides, I guess I should say, are just as different as all of our outsides. We don't all look the same on the outside, and we don't all look the same on the inside. Our bodies don't work exactly the same. So if you have somebody telling you, oh, in order to be healthy, we all need to do this, we all need to do that, we all need to do this. This diet that I made for everybody will make everybody healthy. Run fast. Throw away those diet books, guys, because it is inaccurate. We do not all eat the same. We cannot all eat the same. Everybody's body is different, and we're going to talk about that today. Okay? What comes down to what we need to eat has everything to do with these factors here. Our genes, our racial and ethnic backgrounds, and our stress levels, internal and external. Okay? Those are the key components of what we should be eating. Stress, genes, racial and ethnic backgrounds. Okay? Weston A. Price, his book, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. Weston A. Price was a nutritional scientist. He was also a dentist. He went around the world looking at different ethnic, diverse people that were still eating the same foods they ate for thousands of years. They were not associated, they have not been introduced to the white man's diet, as he called it. White table salt, sugar, white flour, pasteurized dairy, vegetable oils, all that good stuff that we eat all the time here in America, okay, and many other places around the world. Well, he spent years and years and years researching these people, and what he found was beautiful people that had great facial structures, okay, very healthy bodies. They had great dental structures, right? Their teeth looked great. They're in great shape, okay. And what he saw is none of these people had malignant disease. They did not even have a word for cancer. No word for cancer. They didn't understand what that was, right? And what he found is these people didn't need surgeries to replace gallbladders, to replace all these internal organs that the same people of the same background that lived in America, that ate American standard diet, had those issues, right? So these people, so why do the same type of people have different issues? Well, it's because of the food they're eating. So the main things he found is all these people ate organic foods, okay? They all had whole foods, mostly raw. There's very, very minimally processed foods. The only time they processed was mainly like fermentation, okay? Like you have sauerkraut, stuff like that. They would ferment foods, or they would stick foods in the ice up in the Inuits, the Eskimos, and kind of let it almost decay itself and kind of, I'm trying to think of the word, but basically break itself down and almost compose itself, and all this stuff would actually increase the nutrient value of the food, not decrease it like we do in our processing today. And what he also found was majority of these people he found were all eating animal flesh. Now, how much animal flesh varied, okay? And what he found was it was based off availability, okay? What was available to them. If it was available and it was abundant, most of them ate more. And if he did find tribes that ate animal flesh and ones that were relatively close or up the road that didn't, the ones that ate the animal flesh were superior in health and far superior majority of the times. Okay, so I'm not going to go on the debate of vegan versus eating meats, but there's some things to look at there. Now, most of these tribes were nomadic. They would follow the meat. Okay, if they didn't, their species, their people would be wiped out because that was all they were capable of eating, or that was all that was there for food. And what he saw, he said they're eating organic, raw foods, minimally processed, and most of them animal flesh foods. Okay, now, like I said, the availability was the key component, okay, of how much animal flesh. So compared to plant-based, right? So you had the Aborigines in inland Australia. They ate about a 90% plant-based diet and 10% animal-based diet. Reason is there wasn't a lot of game meat inland in Australia. The circumstances weren't there for that, and they didn't have access to the sea because they were very, very far from it. Okay? Then you have places like Hawaii that had a lot of plant-based diet, very, are very rich in their ability to plant fruits, vegetables, all that. But they also had great access to the sea, so they had a good variety of both. Okay, and then you have the Inuits or Eskimos closer to the polar regions that ate 90% of their diet from fats. Okay, they had no heart disease, even though we always hear heart disease associated with eating fat and cholesterol. They didn't have any of that. They had about 90% of proteins and fats, a lot of fats, and 10% of that because majority of the year the ground was frozen over. There was no way possible for them to plant crops, right? So they had to eat what they can. Now, what we saw was every single one of these were extremely healthy. They didn't have the diseases. They didn't have all these obesity issues. And they lived very, very healthy lifestyles. Okay, so how is that? How can somebody eat 90% plant-based, this person eat 90% animal flesh, and both be extremely healthy? Well, because it shows you that we are not all meant to eat the same thing. So what do we eat? What do we eat here in America, modern day society? Okay, I can go to the store and get whatever I want. So what am I supposed to eat? What are you supposed to eat? Well, the answer is it kind of depends. Now, we're going to talk about it today, and I'm going to give you as much as I can to help learn or teach your body what you need to be eating, the ratios you need to be eating at. So what we're really going to be talking about is our 3 different types of people. Okay, I'm going to mainly go off of Paul Chek's primal pattern diet, but it's very much associated with the metabolic typing diet by William Wolcott. Okay, both those I would highly recommend looking into. Both of them are very similar, but our 3 types are polar type, variable type, and equatorial type. Okay, for William Wolcott, it's more protein type, mixed type, and carbohydrate type. Okay, but you kind of get the gist of what I'm talking about here when I'm mentioning that. Okay, so polar types, people that live closer to the polar regions. Okay, the Inuits, the Eskimos, they eat about 60% I foods or protein, at least 6. Or all polar types eat about 60% or more of what we call I foods, but mainly animal flesh or mainly proteins and fats. So 60% proteins and fats in their diet, and the other 40 or less come from plant-based diet. Now, polar types tend to do much better on low glycemic foods. Okay, they do a lot better on. They don't handle high glycemic fruits and all that and grains very well at all. So, and then the proteins that they do well with is mostly meat-based, and they do very well with high purine meats or high purine proteins such as organ meats, fattier cuts of meat, beef, duck, the dark meat of poultry, full fat dairies, fattier fishes. Those are usually best with polar types. So if you tend to notice that you like more of those foods, you may very well be a polar type. So what should polar types do? Now, to find it, look into these 2 diet. I don't want to say diets because they're not diets, but the primal pattern and metabolic typing diet. Okay, look into those, find out what you are. If you don't have access to that and you can't, for whatever reason you can't get that, I will have a chart to kind of help you along those lines. Now, polar types should have 2 palm-sized portions of protein and fat, preferably animal flesh, to 1 plant-based size. So say 2 steaks with 1, or 2 palm-sized steaks with 1 palm-size worth of broccoli, something along that. Okay, so 2 to 1 ratio. Okay, 2/3 of the diet, or the plate, as you'll say, will come from protein and fats. Okay, the other third will come from plant-based, preferably low glycemic. Variable types, it's going to be a little bit harder for. There's a lot of variable types, and the reason is, nowadays, people are from different backgrounds. You may have a mother from here and a father from equatorial, so you may have a different. And just like you can get eye color is dominant from one parent, you can get a type that's dominant from a parent as well, or you might be a mix, which is somewhere in between, which is our variable type. Variable types usually do best with a 1-to-1 ratio of I to no I foods. So proteins and fats, about 50%, plant-based, 50%. They may or may not handle, they may handle lighter meats better, they may handle darker meats better, fattier meats better, and it may depend, and there's other factors like stress that are involved with that as well. They may handle higher glycemic carbohydrates, may not. So the variables have a little more work to do with determining what they need, and we'll talk about that later. Usually people that are variable types, can stem from places that didn't have such harsh winters, but they did have winters. Ground was frozen over for a little bit. Now our third type is our equatorial or our carbohydrate type. These people tend to be closer to the equator, warmer winters where they could grow fruits and vegetables all year long in conditions where they may not have had a lot of game meat along, whether it be mountainous or whatever, desert more. So they had to rely more on plants and vegetables. So 60%, the complete opposite of polar types, right? No I food, so plant-based, 60% or more. Okay, now these people want to do the opposite of polar. Okay, 2 palm size of a plant-based food to 1 palm size of a protein or fat, and usually equatorials do better with lighter meats, chicken breast, more of the white meats, the lower fat dairy, not quite whole fat. They can get by with probably nuts as their main source of protein too, or like dairy, something like that, where polar types more than likely need an actual animal flesh to actually feel satisfied. So those are our 3 different types. Now what we'll do is we'll talk about our fine-tuning chart.